Hi guys, I'm Grace reporting for On the Map Off the Radar, and this week we're going to be talking about something you might not think you're very interested in, tax evasion. And you might have heard in the news recently the stuff about HSBC and all these files that were leaked, and it's been accused of aggressive money laundering. And you think, oh, Kelsopro's, a bank's, screwed up again. Well, actually, it's a bit more complicated than that. It's not just HSBC that's involved in this tax evasion. And tax evasion isn't actually as boring as it sounds. Basically, what we're looking at is not just the individual isolated actions of one bank in one time period. We're looking at a huge web of secrecy jurisdictions, of money laundering, of private bank accounts, in which banks, CEOs, governments, all these different agents are colluding in. And that might sound like a bit of a crazy conspiracy theory, but let me just flesh it out for you a bit. So, for example, HSBC, this isn't the first time that they've been indicted for this sort of thing. A couple of years ago, they settled out of court with the US government because evidence had been brought against them that they'd been laundering the funds from Mexican drug traffickers, and they'd also been facilitating transactions with Iran, which is on the sanctions list. Similarly, there have been widespread allegations of banks laundering funds for arms dealers, for African dictators, for human traffickers, for drugs traffickers, for all these real bad guys that Western governments are professing to want to stop. And the way you do this, if you really want to stop these guys, is follow the money. So why aren't they following the money? Well, essentially, it's because from the get-go, the UK government essentially decided, when I say from the get-go, I mean from the kind of liberalisation of the financial system, the UK government decided to make the City of London a tax haven, and it was connected to a web of tax havens which reached all across the globe, from the Jersey Islands to the Canary Islands. And Wall Street followed, linked up with its various clients in Panama and other places. And now even countries like Ghana, in discussion with Barclays about how they're going to become tax havens. So, how does this affect you? Essentially what it means is there are a load of rich people in this country who are not paying their tax. Not just rich people, but companies. CEOs, the landed gentry, all the kind of bulwark of the establishment, are all implicated in this system in one way or another. And in many ways, and we ourselves might be implicated in it, we just don't know where this money is and where it's been coming from. But actually, the reason we can't find, and this is the reason we can't find and stop all these bad guys, terrorists, drug dealers, all these people, it's because their money is in the same places that, the CEO and the government keeps their money. So the government has no incentive, essentially, to want to take these guys down. And we've seen this a number of times. This may sound like a crazy left-wing conspiracy plot. And, when I first heard about it, I thought the same thing. And then I picked up this book. And I saw, okay, praised by the Financial Times and the Daily Mail. Like, what's going on there? And also, you can go on the Financial Times and The Economist and read about these things and see just how destructive these banking secrecy laws really are. But I would really recommend reading this book. And just to give you a taste, the blurb is, tax havens are the most important single reasons why poor people in poor countries stay poor. They lie at the very heart of the global economy, with over half the world trade processed through them. They've been instrumental in nearly every major economic crisis since the 1970s, including 9/11 and the global economic turndown. Now, that may sound crazy, but once you get into this book and once you read it, you'll see that this all pans out in ways that you could not even imagine. So, I'm reporting for On the Map Off the Radar, and while some of what I've said may seem a bit boring, if you take anything away from this, read this book and inform yourself. It will change the way you see the world. Thanks very much.
And pay your taxes.
And pay your taxes.